Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December 31st, 2022. It's the last day of the year. We've made it. Looks like we made it. Hopefully this episode finds you well. Maybe you're listening in 2023 or I don't know, 3005. Who fucking knows? That'd be neat, huh? But thanks for tuning in. Hi, hello. Let's see. Any updates? Not much. I had that pasta I was talking about from the last episode. It was yummy. I also had a salad and some bread. Um, yeah, hit the spot. A little late for my taste, but hey, sometimes that happens. Let's see. Other than that, not too much to report. Like I said, it's the last day of the year. I'm so happy you're here. Let's see. Let's just get into it. Let's just do a little bit normal. No, you know what? Let's do a little bit of celebratory action. Yeah. I just cleaned my equipment for the year. Yay. I mean, I do clean it more than once, but I'm trying to get more consistent. Yeah. So that was a little bit hitting these resolutions early or something like that, huh? So yeah. Boop. Whoa, yeah. Alrighty. Let's start off with some news from the BBC. COVID in China. U.S. imposes COVID testing for visitors from China. Now, the U.S. has just become the latest country to do this. Also, Italy, Japan, Taiwan, and India have announced mandatory tests. Australia and UK have not. They haven't changed. They haven't added any new rules or anything like that. Um, and this is obviously coming off of China being on the zero COVID policy and now being off of it. They really have just lurched forward now in a situation where they went from mass quarantines, you're not able to leave, to now it's like we're not keeping track of any of this stuff anymore. And I think for me, when I initially kind of heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Our numbers are so blown out and out of control, we can barely keep track. But there is a difference when you are at least putting up some numbers to show, hey, we have these outbreaks here. We were having surges here and here in these areas. Even if people aren't really paying attention to it, it is good data to have. And China is outright saying, look, we just don't have it anymore. We cannot keep track. We just can't. And then they're also posting numbers of yeah, we had one COVID death today, three, the next day. And it's people are looking at these numbers and they're like, that's just not possible. And they're saying, well, how we are looking at what is a COVID death and what we're reporting is just this. And it's kind of okay, well, so kind of in response to all this, plus China, I think it's at the top of January is, or it might already be happening. I'm not quite sure, but essentially, people are going to be able to travel again, and in response to that, they are now saying, hey, okay, you either have to come, and then take a COVID test, and if you're negative, then you're good to go. If you're positive, then you have to isolate either at home or at a special place, essentially just away from mass public. So that's a development. I know some people are a bit shocked about that. I've also heard some people say, hey, this is yet again, it's almost like you're rubbing China's nose in the situation. Um, I do also get, though, the other side of saying, hey, this is a precaution. There are new variants happening any given season. We just never know. And with, China's COVID situation being very unique and now being allowed to go, abroad, who knows what could happen. So, I feel like I appreciate, this, at least taking the precaution. I will say, though, the press coverage can kind of definitely feel a little bit slanted, a little bit spun, but, That's the news, baby. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to cover off the top here. Um, Kind of, I guess, some added stuff like with Taiwan. Taiwan says people arriving on flights from China as well as by boat at two islands will have to take COVID tests on arrival from the 1st of January to the 31st. Those who test positive will be able to isolate at home. Meanwhile, Malaysia has put additional tracking and surveillance measures in place. So yeah, I mean, throughout the article, it kind of just says what country's doing what. Um, but yeah, I thought that was interesting to talk about as we move forward in the phase of China really more or less phasing out the one COVID thing. I mean, they haven't said that as a whole, but it does seem like all the actions and you know movement. It just seems like it's going towards that. So, let's see. Next article I got from CNN. Taiwan extends mandatory military service period to counter China threat. So essentially, the number is being moved from like I think you had to do 4 months of 4 months of mandatory service, and now it is now a year. I believe they've kind of gone back and forth with this. They initially wanted to scale it down, I believe, from like 2018, but with everything going on with Ukraine, and then also everything going on with China and Taiwan, with the increased aggression, especially ever since Pelosi made the visit. They've just said like, look, this is just the best course of action for us. Let's see. There's a quote here from the president, Tyson Wing. Tyson Wen. Yeah, there you go. Nobody wants war. The Taiwanese government and its people do not want it, nor does the international community want it. But peace does not fall from the sky, she said. We need to actively prepare for war to prevent war, and we need to be able to fight a war to stop a war. I don't know. It's one of those things where that is, a hot statement one way or another. I feel like, you get, the POV there where it's coming from, but I don't know. It's definitely a situation where it's like, even with the added conscription time, you're still looking at this is a compensation play just for the future anyway, because you have lower birth rates, all this kind of stuff. Those are concerns. But I just don't know what difference it makes. Like, I hate to say that, but like, China is a superpower for a reason. Like, and essentially, you're an island offshoot to China. And, I definitely understand why Taiwan is fighting for its independence and wants to keep and maintain its independence. But these steps, it just makes it go like, I mean, what is it gonna do? But they are, I guess just adding, more to their rosters and trying to like do a lot of training and stuff like that. So maybe it'll be helpful. But I mean, essentially, they would just be, completely isolated by land and sea, and then just waiting for an amphibious kind of situation from China. Because China could just blockade them. They have the power to do that. And it would literally take something like literally America stepping in and doing the absolute most, not just giving them some guns, like it would take a little bit more than that. And also, I don't think you can do the thing where like, we're just going to give you a bunch of air defense. We're going to give you an Iron Dome or whatever. Like, you're going to need, once again, more than that for the situation. So I don't know. It is a very complex geopolitical issue, yeah. So I like to sprinkle in some covers there when I can. Figure we were already talking about China. Let's talk about Taiwan. Bringing it back to the good old U.S. of A. From ABC News, Idaho murders. 28-year-old PhD grad student arrested in Pennsylvania. So this is a update on the Moscow student killings. Let's see here. The person who was arrested is Brian Koberger. He's 28 years old. From the title, he's a PhD student. Let's see. He's a graduate student at Washington State University, located less than 10 miles away from the University of Idaho. Um, let's see. There is some more stuff I wanted to cover. There's the records right now are sealed until he gets extradited back from Pennsylvania to Idaho. So there's not too much here, but let's see. I think this did kind of start from there was some video or whatever that was captured, or evidence that the police were able to find that led them to believe that the perpetrator suspect was driving a 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra, and I think they said that they wound up finding that Friday. Let's see here. Really wish I had highlighted some of this. There also is a link between Kohberger and oh yeah, let's see. Another thing I wanted to cover here while I'm scrolling through. Kohberger was arrested on 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary. Also wanted to go through the names again. The roommates were Kaylee Gonclaves, Madison Mogan, Zaina Kernodle, and then her boyfriend Ethan Chapin. Let's see. And it was just them, even though there were other roommates on the second and third floor, but the killing just took place there, and they were ruled out as suspects. Let's see. Here it is. Gonclave's family told ABC News on Friday that they don't know Kohberger, but are seeing connections between the two that they aren't ready to discuss yet. The family said they are happy, relieved, and thankful that there's been an arrest. So, I mean, that's just one part of the story. I mean, I feel like this is just a tip of the iceberg. I will say, man, this is a pang of being online, and especially like, let's say, Twitter. This information hit, and I'm scrolling and I'm kind of looking at it because this is like, I'm following the lead almost, and it becomes these rabbit hole things, and I find myself having to be very careful because I don't want to see something and I see there's a blue check and I even go, okay, well, this is like a journalist type person, but you do not know how editorialized whatever the information is they're presenting. So I often say, okay, I see this, I log it, but let's wait. Let's wait and let's see how things unfold, and we can always get to it later and illuminate and elaborate on it then. But I don't want to spread anything that's just pretty much made up or hearsay from some whoever, whatever. So I do always like to use the articles as hitching posts. I feel like that's like the best way to go about it. But definitely I want to give more conversation to this because it is very interesting that it did take so long, but good that they found a person. So definitely as we just progresses, evolves, moves to like a trial period, whatever, we'll be here to talk about it. Let's see. Now this was this was honestly the story for me. I really enjoyed this story a lot. It was a treat because, man, I love a good flim flam, man, and this guy is the definition of such. From NPR News, New York Representative-elect George Santos is being investigated for lying about his past. Now, you hear a politician, you see lying, okay, like, that's not new, come on, that's like every day of the week, whatever. True, I hear you, preach. But I will say, this man's lies are epic. They are very good. He fledged his resume so hard, like flexed the most. And then when you press him on this stuff, he's kind of like, oh, I mean, yeah, like it's debatable. Like I wouldn't say it's untrue, that I did this or that, but like, there's 2, major universities that he went to, quote unquote. But you ask those schools, they have no records of this. They do not know this man. They cannot claim him. Who is Santos? I think it's not my favorite actually, but the big one that kind of sparked this was there was a Times, I I guess, investigation that they did, and they uncovered records in Brazil that show Santos was subject of a criminal investigation there in 2008 over allegations that he used stolen checks to buy items at a clothing shop in the city of Niterói. At the time, Santos would have been 19. Now that's a minor crime. That's really small stuff. It's hey, you could play that off. But one of the things is we're burying that story. That's not even like what people had heard about and known about. This is just something that like the Times finally took the effort to go and say, oh my gosh, like this dude's kind of been at this shit since he was young. Granted, he's 34 years old now. Still a young adult. I mean, an adult. Let's not downplay it like he's fucking Bambi. I hate when people do that shit. Because then once again, like, what are we doing? Like, okay, you're 60, you're a normal adult now. Like, no, you're on the way out, brother. But let's see. He then has also another pivot, where he claims he was Jewish. He claims he was literally Jewish. Let's see. Beyond his resume, Santos invented a life story that he has also come into question, including claims that his grandparents fled Jewish persecution in Ukraine, settled in Belgium, and then fled persecution during World War II. During his campaign, he referred to himself as a proud American Jew. Now he's, since faced backlash on this, and people have kind of, done the research and looked him up. And, when pressed on an interview, he goes, I'm Catholic. Because I learned my maternal family had a Jewish background, I said I was Jewish. And my gosh, good golly, what a slippery slimery. It's so fucking wild. He said, I didn't say I was Jewish. I said I was Jewish. That got me. That hit me in the fucking tummy, yo. I was tickled. So I mean, this dude is a huge flim flam, man. Even to the point where it's not just Democrats who are calling for him. And granted, you would think, okay, there's going to be an investigation on this guy. He should definitely step down. Like, he's not going to do that. He's like, look, guys, I've made some mistakes. I've done some stupid things. Who hasn't? And there's almost like this defense of like, well, what's fluffing a resume? It's not that bad. Sure, maybe you said you worked at Goldman Sachs, and now you're saying, I was like Goldman Sachs adjacent. I like worked with them. Surely that you were voted on. You deserve this. You should take the seat. And Santos is leaning on that narrative, and it looks maybe as of Tuesday next week, he's going to be, Republican seat there. So there you go. He faked it till he made it. And on that regard, I got to give him credit. We got to give him a pitter-patter, round of applause. Because that's the American way. Let's fucking face it. I don't care if you're red, blue, whatever. That's how you make it here. You fudge your shit, you stack your deck, and you say, hey, I'm here for the job, man. I'm here to start my career. I've got all the experience you need and more. But I do think it's definitely fucked up, and I would like to see what the investigation, uncovers. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that anything's going to stop this or change the situation. Also, mind you, it's crazy that a Republican won in New York. But I mean, it just kind of goes to show the signs of the times, and things change. Even in like liberal held like bastions, Let's see. Yeah, for Long Island. Or wait, no. That's a quote from Long Island Republican-elect Nick Lilota, who said he was troubled by the revelations. Yeah, a lot of people are like really like perturbed or upset, but not too many people are calling for him to quit on the Republican side. And McCarthy, who's the person who's going to be head of the House, is essentially really quiet right now. Like, because, Santos has given him credit, and he's like, oh, yeah, cool, thanks. And not really wanting to rock the boat here because, you essentially have a huge, big ragtag group of people who you need to all corral, and this guy's literally about to take the seat, and you would not say, oh man, this guy should actually, just step down, and then he gets the seat, and now he's an enemy, and then you also don't want to potentially lose a seat in a special election bullshit. So yeah, I mean, this is something that's adding to the Republican pickle. Um, it's kind of a little bit of space. I don't know. I don't know. I enjoy politics in a way. It's fun to see it kind of unfold on a beat to beat way. Um, but yeah, these dudes are literally just ice skating and they're just doing whatever. Um, let's see here. Let's see here. I got one more bump. Also, too, I forgot. I wanted to add an addendum to the story from the other episode. On the Andrew Tate thing, I don't believe I set his charges for him, his brother, and the two other people. They were human trafficking and also rape. So, the details haven't been like really unsealed on that. And I believe like the rape charge isn't pinned to any like that hasn't been named who it's pinned to. So that's something I definitely wanted to mention. I was just kind of too giddy to hear that this guy was literally going to be locked up for like 30 days. And, it was also me in the weeds. So wanted to put that out there too. But yeah, let's get to the last one. Let me hit my little break and then we'll put a cherry on this in the year. Ooh, okay. All right. Our last article of the year is from Reuters. Southwest flight upheaval, a system failure, U.S. says. So, I mentioned it at the top of the week. We had the whole Arctic blast, cyclone bomb. I don't know, cyclone bomb. It was called a lot of names, blizzards in some areas. But essentially, there were a lot of cancellations, a lot of flight cancellations across the board. But it started becoming glaringly apparent that there were a lot of cancellations out of Southwest Airlines. And not only was it in that that Monday to like Wednesday time, it like seemed to go like pretty much throughout the week. Now, not in this article, but I believe Southwest Airlines has said, hey, we should be back, by Friday. So essentially yesterday as of, this episode posting. But I mean, it just seemed very glaringly apparent that like something was wrong here. There were mistakes that were made that when this blizzard hit, it just made things even worse. Um, and I think it's kind of like a situation that involves like how the airline allows people to buy tickets, and essentially it says, okay, well, we can allow all these people to get a flight. It's not so much. It's more about like, okay, we can just fill the planes, get everybody going, yada yada yada. We can max out, get closer to that. When essentially you should be paying more attention, being more careful, and saying, okay, let's not have as many people stacking for flights. We know it's already going to be bottlenecked because of travel. We know there's going to be some kind of weather coming, and Southwest really wasn't being mindful of that and really just trying to make money. They were really trying to maximize profits, and it really bit them in the ass. Is kind of what it looks like. Now, excuse me. I believe the CEO has come out and said, hey, we have made some mistakes. It kind of comes down to our systems being a little bit more outdated, and we need to update that and just do better and be more efficient. Okay, maybe that's a way to look at it. And you gotta love a CEO. They really just come through and they're just here to just say, hey, let me blow some smoke in your face and tell you it's diamonds. And sometimes they're successful. A lot of times I feel like they're not, when you really get a chance to really look at it from multiple angles and really see things. That's the power of the internet. That's the power of I do kind of want to say social media and just like the reach that it allows people to be like, look, no, I did the research, or we're doing the research, or we can show you. Um, but yeah, I mean, this kind of made enough waves for me to talk about it specifically with the Southwest thing because Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg came up and more or less made a comment on it. We are past the point where they could say this is a weather-driven issue. Let's see. Don't get me wrong. All this began with that severe storm. We saw that winter weather affecting the country and severely disrupting all airlines. So what this indicates is a system failure at Southwest, where they need to make sure that this is something good that he's adding, that these stranded passengers get to where they need to go, and that they are provided adequate compensation, not just for the flights itself, but also things like hotels, like ground transportation, like meals, because this is the airline's responsibility. He said, adding he had spoken to the company's leadership. So that's his perspective, the transportation's perspective, saying like, hey, look, you guys have to help out and actually compensate these people because you're kind of on the hook for it. Also, I mean, there's been talks, rumblings of like maybe what if like the government got more involved with the actual transportation of flights and things of that nature. Where there's been a lot of pushback though from flights because they're like, no, we don't really want you guys to come through and try to regulate us and tell us what to do. Kind of makes sense with the whole capitalism angle, and you want to control your own profits and whether or not you can make more or not. That being said, in talks of profits, they did take a dive. Let's see. Shares of Southwest tumbled over 5% on Wednesday after diving 6% on Tuesday. Some analysts said the cancellations will pressure profits in the fourth quarter. There's some more blah, blah, blah number talk. My favorite. But I think that's where I want to leave it. Let's see. Let me get a swig of water before I finish this off. Okay. Me. Thank you so much for sticking around for not just this episode, but sticking around for the year. It's crazy. I look forward to continuing doing this. I know it's not a sprint. It is a marathon or endurance race, whatever you want to fucking call this shit. And I'm happy to do it. It's been a really good time. It's been a fun run. I appreciate the newsies along the way. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. $5 gets you access to bonus episodes that I've been working on. Definitely going to keep up with that. Just doing a little bit of spillover news, doing a little bit of niche news, maybe, what have you. Whatever's what I want to do. And you get to tune into those. Let's see what else is there. There's Discord access. We got that. And then you also get a shout out on the podcast every month. And if you have anything you'd like to plug, that's another thing that you get, with the $5. Or you want me to talk about something specific news-wise. Hey, local, whatever. I enjoy spreading the news, period, wherever it is, whatever, how big, small. But yeah, that's on the menu if you'd like. But I just appreciate people who've just been listening for free. And you're crazy as hell. You're diabolical if you even talk about this with your friends. That's crazy. Because why? I appreciate it. I appreciate you think that what I'm talking about is worth moving around. At the end of the day, I would like to have a bigger audience because I think it makes for a better experience, period. I would like more interaction. I think that just makes it all more just better. I don't know. So I really do look forward to, doing another lap around with y'all. And I thank you so much for tuning in. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.